I'm Christine Connor, the owner of Amelie Scott Designs, and this is my Director of Education, Beth Daig, and she also helps me out a whole lot in the studio sewing up all these samples that you may see at a local quilt store. I'd like to welcome you to Off-Road with Christine. Well, Off-Road with Christine is a video series that we're creating where we take a pattern that you may have already done and we show you how to do something different with the designs that you have already purchased. So the pattern we're doing today is Apple a Day Table Runner. This is what, so hopefully what you've already done is you've already bought the pattern and you made the table runner that came with it. And by the way, the quilting designs come with this table runner, so if you haven't made it, you can rest assured that once you finish making that table runner, you know how to finish it because we provide you with the quilting designs. So what we're going to do today is we are going to make a table, we're going to make a towel. I'll let you hold that up.
Okay.
She has it all crimped really pretty. And we're going to show you how to take the design, it's called the center design with the apples, and we're going to use it as a border on a tea towel. And this year I actually, my daughter's getting married, so she was extremely stressed, so I put this towel in a basket and filled it with blueberry muffins and then had that little apple on top. I guess it should have been apple muffins, but it wasn't. But anyway, I took it over to her house and it cheered her up for a little bit. So that's what we're going to be doing today. This is part 2 of a video series. Part 1, we made a patio table quilt out of the apple design and the quilting that goes around it. And we use the quilting, this quilting pattern right here. Everything's backwards on film. This quilting pattern here. And we also use the apple a day, or the apples for 5 cents sign. Gosh, remember when apples were 5 cents? Do you remember that?
Been a while.
Here it is. Okay, so this is going to be a kind of a software heavy video because I'm going to do a lot of this in software, but I'm going to walk you through it. And I also have some free software for you, so you'll want to watch the video to know how to get the free software. So let's get started. First, I'm going to show you how to use bring a design into Toolshed, Embroidery Toolshed. This is a free software program that you can get off our website it's ameliescott.com, and it's under freebies, and you can get a link so you can download this embroidery software to your computer if you like, if you want to do this activity with us. And it's kind of a limited software, but it's going to work great for what we want to use. So first I'm going to double click on the Toolshed and launch it. And I'm going to create a new design. So I'm going to hit Create New Design. And this is what the software will look like. Alright, so let me just kind of make my screen a little bit bigger for you guys. Alright, so the first thing I want to do is I want to go up into this area up here. There's a word file, and I want to bring in my file that so when you take your CD, what I always do is I pop the CD into my accessory drive or into my computer, and I take what I want off the CD and put it on my desktop. That's the easiest way for me to find it. The design is still on my CD, it's not going anywhere. All the designs are still on my CD, but now I have a copy of the file I want to use on my computer. And this file is called Center. So I'm going to go to File, Open, and then there is my design. The folder I'm in is my desktop. There is no folder. I'm just on my desktop, and there's my design center. I'm going to click on that. I see a picture of it down here, and then I'm going to open it. And there it is. Okay, so easy. Now, to make it easier for you guys to see things, I'm going to come over to the left-hand side, and there is this cube. Looks like a 3-dimensional cube, and that is your 3-dimensional view. Right now, this is very flat. This is kind of what things look like when we digitize. And if we want to see how it's really going to look when it stitches out, we click on the cube, and voila, there you see stitches and fill stitches, and that looks so much better, doesn't it? Alright, so this is where the software is a little bit limited. Okay, so what I want to do is I want to put 2 of these together on that tea towel. And the problem with that I have when I go to stitch them out is I have a placement line, which is this blue line that goes all the way around. And then I have a tack stitch line that goes all the way around. And that is, you know, probably, you know, 3/4 of an inch on each side. So I would love to ideally just eliminate those and just have the 3 little apples so I could put maybe 2 or 3 of them together and still have them fit in my hoop. So in this software I cannot eliminate the designs. Let me explain to you why. So over here, this is what we call our sequence view, and the sequence view always shows the sequence of the design. So it would show, if I hit on this little plus here, there's a little plus right here, and I'm going to expand my view. I can see that the first is that blue line, which is a placement line. The second thing that stitches out is a green tack stitch. Third thing that stitches out is the apple, and then the little lime greeny apple, and then the yellow apple, and the last thing to stitch are these 3 leaves. So here's the thing. Normally in most digitizing programs, if I select the first item, I can hit the delete button and get rid of it. But what you just saw happen is that, and I'll show you this in another program, what you just saw here was everything was highlighted, everything was selected. So if I hit the delete button, it's all going to go bye-bye and be gone, and then I'll have to load the file again. So I don't want to do that. So I can't really take, in Toolshed, I cannot take the placement line, I cannot take the tack stitch line off, but I can work with that. And so here is how I'm going to work with that. I'm going to come up here to I'm going back to my sequence view over here where it says all items. All items is going to make sure I get the full design. Everything is going to be selected. And then I'm going to, once that's selected, I can put my mouse anywhere I want to, but I'm going to right mouse click and I'm going to select copy because I want to copy this, everything in this design. So I'm going to copy it, and then I'm going to, while everything's still selected, see it's all still selected, I can tell that my sequence view that all items is still highlighted, everything's all blued out over here. I've just copied it, so now I'm going to right mouse click and I'm going to paste it. And now it is pasted. How do I know it's pasted? Because look here, if I expand the second group, now I've got 2 groups of the design. One here that's all grouped together, and one here that's all grouped together. So I'm going to click the minus sign because I think that's going to be a little bit easier for us to work with. So I want to take the second group and I'm going to select it. Oh, now let me tell you the reason why over here you don't, in the workspace, the reason why you don't see 2 copies of the design is because it's a computer, and a computer is very precise, and the computer copied and pasted it directly over the existing design. So they're like on top of each other perfectly, as done by a computer. You can never get things lined up this well manually. It would take a computer to do that. So I'm going to select the second group, not the first group, but the second group over here. And I'm going to then bring my cursor, and here's my cursor, follow the cursor. It's going to come in here, and when it gets kind of to where it turns into a hand, you see how it just kind of turned, it didn't turn into a hand when I'm in space. But if I get over something, like actual stitching, you can see it will turn into a hand. So I'm just going to move the cursor so it's over that apple. And then I'm going to left mouse click and pull it downward as far as I can go on this itty-bitty little screen that I have. So I just did that. Now I'm going to, here's a trick. If you double mouse click on the magnifying glass, so I'm going to go over here to on the left side over here to a magnifying glass, and I'm going to double left click. I see the whole screen. What that does is it fits the whole, everything that I'm working on into one view. So now I can see the rest of the design and I can pull it down if I want. When I click left mouse click over in the workspace, you notice everything's been deselected. Now here is the problem with stitching this out just the way it is. I've got this, okay, so let me back up. When I get over to my sewing machine, I'm going to not stitch the first placement line, and I'm not going to stitch that tack line, and I'm going to do that when the second design stitches too. So because I'm not stitching those, I don't really care if I overlap these two designs because it's not going to matter. And one of the things I notice is that I've got these apples here and these apples here, and I've got this big space in between, and I really don't want that big space here. I want to scoop my apples up closer. The other thing I notice is that if I do scoop my apples up closer, I've got leaf, 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 leaf. So I got these two leaves on the same side, and most of you, including me, are like OCD, and that would drive us crazy having two leaves going the same way when all the other leaves are every other way. So what I want to do is I want to rotate this design so it's the other, it's just upside down. So how do you rotate in Embroidery Toolshed? Super easy. We're going to go back to the sequence view over here, and I'm going to select the second group because it's the second group of the group design that I want to change, and I'm going to do that. Now you'll notice that, so I've selected everything. I know everything's going to move when I move things. Now you'll notice right up here there's this little purple icon. Let me see if I can, I don't know what will happen if I zoom in. You see how it looks like a little arrow? Like a little arrow? That's your rotate tool. And when I put my cursor right over that, my cursor changes to this double arrow. So that's what I'm going to be doing. Let me zoom out a little bit so you can see the whole design. Okay, so I'm going to move my cursor over that. As soon as my cursor turns to this double arrow black thingy, what would you call that, Beth?
I don't know.
I don't know. It's a circle with two arrows. I'm going to left mouse click on it. That kind of holds it in place, and then I'm actually going to turn the whole thing around as best I can. There we go. Now when you get more expensive software, there's arrows and stuff to help you do that a little bit easier, but on something free you don't have that. But that's how you do that. So you take your double arrows, you left mouse click, and you just go woo, and then you have to kind of slow down at the top till you can kind of get it back into place. Alright, then when I deselect, now my leaves are going right, left, right, left, and that makes me happy. Make you happy, Beth?
It makes me
That would drive you crazy. Okay, so now I still have this big, huge gaping hole here that, you know, there's not much space between here. It looks like, if you look at each square line, it looks like I have 1.5 here, 1.5 here. So I want this apple and this apple to be 1.5 squares apart, more or less, instead of, it looks like, oh, well, 1, 2, looks like it's like 4 squares. So I'm going to take that second group, I'm going to select it, then I'm going to bring my cursor as I put it over one of those blue apples or highlighted apples. That's why they turn blue. The whole thing is highlighted. Once I get a hand, I'm going to left mouse click, and I'm going to bring it up so that apple is about maybe like that. Let me see. I'm going to zoom in a bit, and actually I'm going to zoom in with my magnifying glass, because that's kind of cool. You use that a lot. So to use your magnifying glass, you would click on the magnifying glass, which is over here. And look at that, my cursor turned into a magnifying glass. So that tells me I've got the magnifying glass. And I want to highlight this little area right here. So I'm going to start with my magnifying glass kind of over on the left-hand side a bit. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to drag and end up over here. But I have to left mouse click. So I'm going to start here and end up over here. And that's going to create this rectangle, and it's going to zoom in on that one spot. So I'm going to left mouse click. I'm going to drag. You see how I'm making a little box? And now I'm going to release. And now I can see much, much better. Now, before I do anything, I just want to say I still have this magnifying glass. I need to get that off, so just go ahead and hit the red cursor, and that releases the magnifying glass. So now I've got one full square, and I got a little bit, and that's a lot more closer to where I want to be. Now, one other thing I'm noticing, because I've been digitizing for so many years, and these little things kind of bug me. It might not bug you, but it'll bug me. I'm noticing that I would really like to have everything lined up, and I'm using this placement line right here, that blue line that goes all the way around my design, or the green line, that which is a tack line. It should really be lined up with the one above it. So I'm going to select the bottom group again over in my sequence view. I'm going to select it. I'm going to bring my cursor into the apple. I'm going to left mouse click, and I'm just going to scoot it over a little bit. And you know what? That's pretty darn close. I'm happy with that. Now I want to see what the whole, now remember when we stitch, you're probably saying, oh, that placement line goes right over that apple. Remember, when we stitch this out, we are not going to stitch that line. We're going to just, you know how you go in and you just go the next step? That's what we're going to do. We're going to skip through some steps. So I want to get all this on the screen so everybody can see it. And Beth, how do we do that? Do you remember? She didn't know this was a test.
Oh, I didn't know it was a test. I don't know.
So we go to the magnifying glass,
Okay.
and we left mouse click 2 times. 1, 2.
Oh.
And there we go. Now we see the whole view again. If you forget that, you can also go to View, I think, usually, and okay, never mind that. Not there. Okay. So anyway, so that's there. Now the other thing I want to do is I want to make sure this is all in the center of, because if I were to have this, so your embroidery machine reads designs from the center out. So if this design is not in the center of this space before we save it to put it in our machine, it might be outside the hoop. So even if this design is like 11 inches, if we don't have it at the 0, 0 crosshairs, the center of this grouping at the 0, 0 crosshairs, it might come in bigger than we want it to be. So centering designs are really important. And your center is always your oh, looky here. Here's the 0 here. And here's the 0 here. Well, I can tell you right now that's not center. You know that's not center. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select all items again. I want everything. And I'm going to move my cursor so that the X needs to be at the center. Now on more expensive programs, you do have a center button that makes this like perfect. So because we don't have that perfect centering button, I don't think we have it on here. I'm pretty sure we don't. I don't see any icons for it. So we're just going to have to bring the cursor over that little X. We're going to have to left mouse click, and we're going to have to physically drag it up to there. So I'm a little bit high because this is my, let me hit my magnifying glass. And actually what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my magnifying glass and I'm going to actually increase that area just so we can see. I'm pretty close to the 0. You see, I have a 0 here. And I have a 0 here. My X is just a little bit above, so I'm going to left mouse click and I'm going to drag it down just a little bit more. Ooh, I'm so close. Will it allow me? No, it will not allow me to sometimes your arrows on a, if you have, I'm using a Macintosh, so, and I'm working through a program called Parallels, but sometimes on a PC, if you hover over that X and then you use your left and right arrows on your keyboard, you can get it on really good. But you know what? That is so darn good. I mean, if you get that good, I'm happy with you. Oh, sweet. Okay, so now my design is in the center. I'm going to double click on the magnifying glass again, right up here. 2 clicks, 1, 2, puts it all back in center. Now let's see how big this design is. If you go up to the top, we know the width is 89.5 millimeters and the height is 81.3 millimeters. I don't know about you guys, but I'm not really good with millimeters.
281.
Oh, I'm sorry, 281.3. Thank you, Beth. Beth corrected me. A little dyslexic moment there. So if you have like a Pfaff hoop or a Husqvarna, what other hoops are in millimeters? Some of the hoops are in millimeters. So millimeters are great for you because you can say, hey, that won't fit in my 240 by 150 hoop, but that will fit in my 260 by 360 millimeter hoop. That'll definitely fit. So you can, judge your hoops. But if you're like me, I kind of like to know in inches. So how do we get this number in inches so that our little brains can, or our big brains can do that? Really easy. You take the cursor and you go up into this measurement field. There's like a little tape measure that runs all the way across. And see how it says millimeters over here? Well, if you put the cursor anywhere in this measurement, tape measure up here, and you right, not left, but right mouse click, you can change it to inches. And that's what I just did. And now I know that this is 11 inches, 3.5 inches roughly by 11 inches, a little bit over 11 inches. Now, if you can't, if your hoop, can't handle an 11-inch design, then you're going to have to do this one at a time, one design at a time. But if so many people have an 11-inch, 12-inch hoop field now, so it's much easier to do 2 at one time. So go ahead and, if you need to tweak it down to 11, you can do that. But I think for most people that would be great. So, okay, so how do we get this onto so we can stitch it out? Super, super easy. We're going to now go over to File, and we want to not save, but save as. So we're going to save as, and I'm going to put this on my desktop, and I'm going to call this, you can call it whatever you want. I'm going to call it 2 Center, because they're 2 Center designs. I like to give things different names. And that's why things get confusing around Amelie Scott, because I like to give things lots of different names. But I'm just going to do this. We've got the baby lock set up here in the studio, and so I'm just going to put it as a baby lock file, which is PES, and I'm going to hit save. So if you had if you had a Bernina, then you would just go up here and find your EXP format, which is Melco Bernina. If you have a Husqvarna, you can do HUS. You have a Pfaff VP3. This design together is too big for a VIP. So VP3, and yeah, so that's pretty much most of the people I talk to. Genomi's up here. Okay, so I have it as a Brother PES. I'm going to hit save, and now I'm going to if I wanted to save this design in what they call C2S, I could. When you save as, it will allow you, down here it says C2S, that's the native format. So if you go through a lot of work and you want to make sure you have a copy, then you can create a folder and a file and all that and save it, but I'm not going to do that. Alright, so I'm going to quit out of here, and I'm not going to save that. And the design should be on my, it should be right here. Here is my jump drive. Here is my design. I'm just going to click and drag it over to my jump drive. No, I don't want to do that. Stop. I want the one that's 2. See, I almost dragged the wrong one. So I want the one that I renamed to center, and I'm going to put that in there. And then I'm going to eject my drive so I can take it over to my embroidery machine. First thing I want to do is bring in the design that I just created. So I'm going to hit the pocket, it's already showing up on the screen, but because we just had it in there. And then I'm going to set it, and now it's into embroidery. That's how you, on this baby lock machine, that's how you get the design into on the screen. And then I'm just going to go ahead and hit embroidery. There you go. Now, because we did this in Toolshed, you have 2 different designs. You have the first one up here and the second one down here. It's going to be real easy. So you can use your center icon. You can move this around by hitting the layout and the move button. You can move it wherever you want, so it's the center of where you marked on your towel. I think you guys can figure that out. That's and to embroider. But what I want to show you is what you need to do is before you hit that start button, you need to come into where you can move through the design, and the first part of the design, and I'm going to give you a hint. The light blue, it's Venice Blue Floriani 352, is always my placement line, and the green, Cape Green, I think it is always my tack stitch. So we want to remove the placement and the tack stitch. So the way you do it on a baby lock is you just say, I'm not going to stitch that. So you go to the next one. The next design up here, or the next thing that we'll stitch out, is the tack stitch. And I'm going to say, nope, don't want to do that one either. And now I'm going to stitch my apples. Now one other thing you may notice is that we have red, yellow, green, yellow, red, because we rotated that design around in Toolshed. Now, what I would do is I would make sure that when this red apple comes up, I would do red, green, red, and then I would make this apple red, yellow. I said that wrong. What I would do is you have red, yellow, green. I would make the next apple red and then this apple green, so it kind of flows together. Or you might like them all the same color. I don't know, but just kind of be mindful of your thread, what thread you're using. Okay, so the first thing that was stitched will be the apple, and that's going to drop down and stitch your green apple, and that's going to stitch your yellow, and that's going to stitch the 3 leaves. Okay, now we're at the second part of the design, and we have that placement line again, and we say, nope, don't want to stitch that. There's a tack stitch, nope, don't want to stitch that. And then we stitch the red, and because we turn the design upside down, it thinks that this is the top of the design, so it's going to do the red first, then the green, then the yellow, and then all 3 greens. And it's that easy with Toolshed. Now let's move over to some more professional software and see how much easier things become. Alright, now I'm going to kind of walk you through the same thing with the Perfect Embroidery Pro. So this is a Perfect Embroidery Pro. I've just brought it up. I want to create a new design, so I'm going to click on that. And now I can expand my screen a little bit more so you can see it a little bit better. I'm on a big screen now, so it's a lot easier for me to digitize, or a big monitor. Okay, so first of all, we want to go up to File, which is up in the upper right hand upper corner over here, and we want to open our design, which is called Center, and there it comes into our screen. Now if you go over to the 3D cube over here and click on it, you'll get a 3D view. Now the first thing I want to do is I want to go ahead and make a I want to make a second copy, and I'm going to do all that. I want you to focus right over here on my sequence view, which is right in here. We're going to be talking. I'm going to be zooming into the sequence view and over to the workspace, back and forth, so you can really read what I'm seeing. And so we're going to just zoom in there a bit. All right. Now, here are all the components of the design. You can see the placement line, the tack stitch line, the red apple, the green apple, the yellow apple, and the leaves. All the components. what I want to do is I want to, if you remember in Tool Shed, all these were grouped together. Okay, so for right now, we do want to group all these together. So I'm going to click on the first one. Then on my keyboard, I'm going to hold down the Shift key, and I'm going to click on the last one. That selects all of the designs, and over here on the side of the screen you can see everything just got highlighted in blue. Then what I want to do is I'm just bringing my cursor over here so you can see it. I'm going to right mouse click, and I'm going to hit group. Actually, I'm going to hit copy, and I'm going to hit paste. Alright, so now you see this, all that I just pasted is still highlighted in blue. And while it is highlighted in blue, I want to right mouse click, and I want to group it. That keeps, when you group something, it keeps all the designs, everything in the design functioning as one unit. So that and because we're going to be moving this design around, I want to make sure that as you move the design around, the leaves stay with the apples, etc. So that's why we're going to group. Now I can very easily go to the top of where that placement line is, select it, and go all the way down to the last color thread choice right before where we grouped. Select that, and then I'm going to right mouse click and group that. Alright, so now I have my two groups just like we had before. And in the screen, remember, like we talked before, the computer put the design right on top of the other. So the second design is laying perfectly on top of the first design. So in the sequence view, I want to select that second grouping, and then I'm going to bring my cursor over. Remember, every time it passes over stitches, it turns into a little hand. Alright, once you get a hand, then I want you to just pull it, left mouse click, pull it downward. Okay, I couldn't quite go all the way down because I ran out of screen, so I'm going to go over to my magnifying glass, which is right over here. Looks like a magnifying glass. I'm going to double left click, just 2 clicks, 1, 2, and it puts everything back in focus. Everything fits in the screen so I can see it a little bit better. Then I'm going to bring, because everything in the second design is still grouped together, I'm going to put my hand, I'm going to move my cursor in so that it turns into a hand, and I'm going to bring it down. And it looks like I might want to go up a bit because I really just want that to be about 2 squares apart. So I'm kind of eyeballing this. Yeah, that looks pretty good. Looks like they're kind of, my apples are kind of evenly spaced. Now, while I still have it highlighted, there's something else I want to do. Instead of the rotate button, I'm going to show you something different that you can do. I don't want the green leaves next to each other. So I'm going to go up to this little double green arrows that are facing each other. It looks like elevator doors, like, you know, when you go into an elevator and it says shut the door. That's what it looks like. That's your flip horizontal. So that means what's going to happen is it's going to flip the design like that. So I'm going to hit that, and now my apples are going, the leaves on my apples are going right side, left side, right side, left side, right side, left side. Okay. Alright, so I've got all that. I've got my placement pretty good. Now, I want to go back over to this grouped area, and I want to ungroup because I want to get rid of some things. I really want to get rid of those placement lines so I don't even have to worry about going through them when I stitch. So when you come over to the group, if you just select the first one, and then you right mouse click, you can come down. Hold on, you can't see my screen. Just keep going down until it says ungroup. So I'm going to ungroup that. Then I'm going to select the second grouping, and I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to right mouse click. Oop, it put it up at the top now, and I'm going to ungroup. Alright, so there, now I have everything there all my stitches, they're all there. And it's pretty easy to see where the placement lines are because they're the rectangles. Apple, red apple, green apple, yellow apple, leaves, placement, place, tack, red, you know, you can see that. So let's click on that first one and click on it, select it, and then we're just going to right mouse click and we're going to go down to where it says delete, just by a big red X, and we're going to delete it. And I want to show you on the screen. It has gone away. Bye-bye. Alright, so now I'm going to, and every time we do something with this, it seems to expand the one below it. So now I'm going to take the, I'll explain that in a minute. So now I'm going to take the placement line, I'm going to click on it, left mouse click to select it, and then I'm going to right mouse click to delete. So in digitizing, anytime you want to select something or you know, it's just like on a computer, you're going to left mouse click. Only when you want to get that pop-up menu do you right click. Okay, so I deleted it. Now you'll see that it's showing all this Apple information. So because I have this, this is my expand and de-expand button, I guess is what you call it. So it doesn't have a plus, but if I click on that, it closes it up. So it was showing you the expanded view, and when I click it, it just shows me the color. Okay, so that's what's happening there. But now you can see, though, I don't have any placement lines. Okay, back over here, we're going to do the other two. Select it, right mouse click, and delete. I need to unexpand that one so I can see the little pictures on the side. I'm going to select the exquisite or the last tack stitch, right mouse click, and delete that, and then unexpand it. Okay, so here we go. We got this really nice clean line here. Now, just want to point out one thing. When I go over here to select all items, I get this little X sign, and this X sign tells me where the design is. So within the workspace, and when you are bringing something into your embroidery machine, you need to make sure that that X is on the 0, horizontal 0, and the vertical 0. You can see right now that this is on the vertical 0, but it is not on the horizontal 0. So I need to get it up to there. There are two very simple ways to do that. And why this is so important, I think I explained it to you earlier. If I have this design and I have it, say, like I have it over here on the 8 inches, this is going to assume that that the width of my hoop has to be probably 11 inches wide, and no, I don't think anybody has an 11-inch wide hoop, so it has to be more in the center. So there are two ways to go about doing that. Probably the easiest way for you is to come all the way over here, and there is an icon that looks like a hoop. If you hover over it, it says hoop. And if you just select the hoop that you want to use, you can change the orientation. So our design is going up and down, so I'm going to probably change the orientation so the hoop is the same way. I click apply, and then I can close out of there. Now look, the X is on the 0 horizontal line, and it's on the vertical. So it centered this design within my hoop. My dog is seeing something, so she might bark. Okay, so let's get rid of the hoop, and let's just move that design back over so I can show you one other way that you can do this. You can come up to the very corner, and I like to do this. The very corner, there are these little cross lines. If you left mouse click into the cross lines, you can pull them all the way down right over that X, release, and now you will see that my design is on the 0 up here and on the horizontal 0. So it has lined it up according to my workspace. So I still know that this is going to fit, you know, in my hoop because it's in my workspace. All right, this design, now, you know, last time when we did it, our design was 11 inches. With professional software now, our design is, let me pull in so you guys can see the number with me. Hold on. You can see the width is 2.98 of an inch and the height is 9.4 inches. So I could actually get this in a 10-inch hoop. You know, the height of the hoop could be 10 inches. Okay, and so that is my little lesson on that. Again, if you want to, when you get ready to put it in your machine, just go up to the file again. File is up here. Save as. Save it to your desktop or to your jump drive, wherever you want to save it. That's your choice. Give it a new name like Apple Border, App Border. And then change your format right under Save As Type. You know, what format do you want to use? And then choose the format that you want to use for your machine. And then just hit Save. And then your design will be there all for you. I've done this so many times I don't want to save anymore. And so my design, Apple Border Pez design, is right here. I would just stick my jump drive into my computer and just put it right on top of it. And there you go. Take it over to your machine. All right. Hope this was helpful. Have a great day. Bye-bye.